Hi everyone, welcome to the first podcast in a series where we're going to be discussing different elements of violence against women and girls. In this very first podcast, we are here together today to talk about the launch of our two strategies. The first is the VAWG Partnership Strategy and the second is the Hertfordshire Constabulary Strategy, both of which are aligned and prioritise the key themes going forward, which will help us to be better at tackling the root cause of violence against women and girls in our societies. So just to introduce myself, I am Anna Borella. I'm a Detective Chief Inspector within the Public Protection Command, and at the moment I'm a tactical lead for the VAWG strategy. And I work with Graeme. And Graeme, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Morning everybody, Graeme Walsingham. I'm the Detective Superintendent for the Public Protection Command.
And I've also got Ajanta with me.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me. So my name's Ajanta Hilton. I'm the Executive Member for Public Health and Community Safety at Hertfordshire County Council, and we're very much a partnership with the Constabulary on this strategy.
Lovely. Okay, so just to begin with then, I think it's really important that we talk about what VAWG actually is, what it means to our different organisations and really everyone that's involved in this important work. So from a policing perspective, how would we describe violence against women and girls?
It's looking at all of the harms and all of the offences committed against women and females, and we're looking at both children and adults, and it's that focus on the perpetrators of those crimes, whilst we're giving the victims and the survivors of those crimes all the care and support they need to be able to get ourselves to into the criminal justice system from a police perspective.
Right, and from a public health perspective, prevention is so important, and we know that disproportionately women and girls are affected, and it's a gender-based violence. We need to be really clear about that, and that's why we need to focus, we need to raise awareness on this, and we are trying to prevent these causes of harm, and prevention is key. And we understand very, very sadly that, you know, the reoccurrence rates of women who are affected by this, gender-based violence, it often happens again and again. So if we can prevent, we can try and, sort of stop the cycle happening. And we've got lots of ways and ways of tackling this, which is why the strategy is so important, rather than waiting until it reaches that awful pinnacle, in threat of life.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of the strategies themselves then, what do they look like? What are we focusing on? I think we can say that probably collectively we haven't always got it right in terms of how we've approached violence against women and girls, whether that's internally or externally. But what we do know is that our strategies are new, but there's a lot of work that's already ongoing that we're just looking to improve on, as well as introduce new methods to tackle violence against women and girls. So Graeme, if I come to you first just around the strategy for Hertfordshire Constabulary, what is the focus?
Okay, the main focus for the Constabulary is doing what the police do, and I think that's why we've got the two strategies. We're trying to get back to the police looking at the enforcement side, so targeting the perpetrators, whilst really understanding what victims are telling us. So the strategy for the police is very much centred around that enforcement side, the disruption of perpetrators, and then that onward support of victims and survivors.
Ajanta, from your perspective.
From us it's a word that's bandied around a lot, but it is about partnership. It's about looking at where we have excellent partnerships. So we have the services for sexual assault, we have domestic abuse services, we have stalking services, we have sort of honour-based services as well. But we really need to look at how we can join up to make sure that the pathways are clear. So it's not, people are struggling to find where's the place to go. So we're looking at that, one-stop sort of shop advocacy service where they can be, okay, I'm stuck in this situation, but there's always multiple situations often going on. So, you know, do the police need to be involved? Do we need to get some therapy for the children? So this is where the joined up approach works, and we really need to strengthen, and we are strengthening our partnerships so people are talking to each other about the victims and about how we can help them in the best way possible.
I think it's important to say, Anna, as well, that we've all worked together on both of these strategies to develop them. Like you said before, we haven't always got it right. So the important thing for us is to understand and review what's happened in the past, and then look at how we then tackle that, but as an all-system approach with the partnerships. So that's why I think by having the two strategies, they interlink and actually gives us more of a coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just touching again on what you're saying there, we've obviously included the survivor voice across both of the strategies. We've got the VAWG IAG, who have helped to sort of refine and give some really valuable input in terms of how the police strategy looks. And obviously from the VAWG partnership perspective, there was 3,000, I think, people.
We had some excellent feedback on what survivors and victims, you know, how they can be better helped. Yes, there is help out there, but how can they be better helped, better supported with all the various partnerships that we have? Yeah,
and I think one of the key things for us as a partnership is to make sure that we continue that conversation, that it's not just a one-off, you know, we've had the conversation, thank you, we've taken what you said, this is a continual approach now, and this is the whole system approach that we keep talking about. Okay, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but why is this so important to the public? Again, it seems an obvious question, but why is tackling VAWG and preventing VAWG so important to the public?
Sadly, I think, unfortunately, the numbers keep going up, and we're in a different world now. You know, we've got social media, we've got other influencers coming in, and I think it's just the numbers. Unfortunately, we're still seeing that rise, that continual rise of victims coming forward and at various stages, and we really want to, you know, we want to get males involved to understand what it means, you know, the various forms. There's the microaggressions that it can start from. People don't realise, and we need to make people more aware where it starts and where it can end up, and not being afraid to talk about it. So this podcast is absolutely brilliant, you know, to raise more awareness for men and for women to understand, actually I am a victim and there is help out there, and, you know, this is the place to go.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to progress that, so that we build on people feeling able to trust the police, to be able to come and report more and more to us. I mean, just in the last few years, we've seen that escalation in reporting, which to us gives us a better picture of to exactly what's happening out there, so that we can then target where we're going to put our preventions in, and also to share that information with all of our partners so that we're all targeted in the right direction. So that's a really positive thing. Obviously we want those numbers to come back down, but it gives us the basis for the strategies to start work and actually make a difference.
Okay, so we've spoken a lot about the plans, what we want to achieve. How are we going to do it? How are we practically going to make this happen?
Big question, and one that I think we've all been tackling for a while, but I think we're on a journey and we're getting there. So it's about breaking it down. So from the police perspective, we're utilising the 4P plans. So again, like I said, from the police perspective, our element predominantly within that will be the pursue element and the prevention or disruption of perpetrators, and then we'll be looking for support from partnerships for the other P's, and then within that we also have 10 promises. It's around victims, it's around child victims, it's around the learning. Really important from a police perspective, and I think from a public viewpoint, is that we're looking both internally as well as externally in the police. We all know from the news and from the papers that the police haven't always got it right. We are very, very keen in rooting out the people that shouldn't be within the police. So they're all part of the 10 promises. And then moving on from that, there is a delivery plan that comes in behind that, which is a huge document. Breaks all of those promises down, those 4 P's down, so that everybody knows what our objectives are and where the focuses are. And again, when we come together within partnership meetings, we know the direction that the police are taking within the bigger picture.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got things like training, obviously, which cover everything. That's really key, isn't it? And certainly within the police, things like Op Vigilant, which the public will already know about in terms of that great sort of prevention, pursue work. Certainly in the nighttime economy, we'll just continue to develop that kind of thing within the delivery plan in terms of giving a specific example of how we actually bring some of this to life. So Ajanta,
from our VAWG strategy, from the consultations, it was clear that there was a bit of confusion about where to go. If you feel like you are you are suffering there, and what we've come up with is an advocacy service or a one-stop shop effectively. So this is where it will be much simpler for victims to go to a single point of contact, and that will be helping with if they need housing, if they need therapy, if they need, God forbid, to exit as exit strategy, police, NHS. We know that, as I said, there are multiple forms of harm when it comes to VAWG, violence against women and girls, and this is where we're hoping to make that difference with the advocacy service, working really closely with the police, and I'm really hearing about your 10 promises and what you're stepping forward with a positive. The positive, we've made mistakes, we could make it better, and that is, we need to make that clear to the public that they have got a safe place to come to, and we are taking this extremely seriously. This needs to reduce, the numbers need to go down.
Yeah, I think it's been a really, really healthy conversation talking about VAWG today. Just want to say, from being the only male on the panel, it's really, really important for men and boys to speak up, and also for us just to acknowledge that they will be taken care of if they are victims as well. But the appeal really is for men and boys to actually stand up and call it out.
I've got 2 teenage boys, and like you said, we do need to call it out. We've had some very difficult conversations, but they're there to be had. So let's carry on.